Chris Tatge, DC Materials, welcome to Contractor Spotlight.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, happy to do it. So tell me about DC Materials. What is it you do?
Yeah, so we're a turnkey framing contractor in multifamily buildings. And so what does that mean? Most ABC members are familiar with framing contractors. We do framing labor. We build the walls, the floors, the roof, install the windows on multifamily buildings ranging from 30,000 square feet to about 350,000 square feet. We can go bigger, but those aren't in our market yet. Unlike labor-only framing contractors, we actually provide a lumber package along with our labor. And so we act as the lumber yard. We buy wholesale, we buy direct from component manufacturers, we buy from lumber mills, and sell that package direct to general contractors.
It's kind of lock, stock, barrel,
it's an all-in kind of thing. It's worked well. I'm dealing with a stressed-out project manager most of the time who's got too much on his plate, right? And so with the other sort of models of how lumber is delivered to job sites, you've got a lumber yard who's buying from a component manufacturer and bringing that in, and a labor-only framing contractor. And sometimes they all work together and carry each other's numbers. But I own the entire package. So if there's a problem, if a component manufacturer doesn't sequence something in the right order, for example, it's just me resolving the problem with my vendor rather than getting the general contractor project manager involved.
So that, I'm sure, makes the project manager very happy.
It does. It does. And if you want sales, that's the best way to get sales, right?
There you go. I would imagine it also kind of helps mitigate some of the risk on the materials costs fluctuating.
It does. So there's some unique values that we bring. I'm in the market every day. I'm following what lumber's doing. And so during the lumber run-up of 2020 and 21, it was daily and weekly communications with my general contractor partners. And so really keeping an eye on opportunities where the market's dipping and I can buy, and we can all win. A GC can get a project to pencil out where they couldn't, a month ago, for example. Some kind of additional value is I can speak to both the lumber, the material cost side, and the labor side. So if I see an interesting opportunity to make a material substitution or product substitution in a plan, I can address both the material cost and any change that would be in the scope of work for the framing contractor at the same time. So it's a unique value engineering opportunity.
That is quite a different business model than what I think most people see. So how many employees do you have?
So we run about 125 carpenters when we're very busy.
Okay.
Right now we're not very busy. So
Welcome to spring, right?
Yeah, it's a spring and multifamily. Everybody it all moves with the market and the Fed and whether or not projects pencil out. But we've got about 1.2 million square feet on the books, and that starts ramping up in July, peaks out September, and then we're pretty strong going into the winter, which is really nice.
That's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
So what are your construction people doing if they're not busy right now? What do you have?
We flood the single-family market, and single-family general contractors get a really good deal.
I'm sure they're happy about that too. So everyone wins.
That's right.
Everyone wins. Cool. What's the culture like at DC Materials?
Well, my managers get a lot of leeway. They get a lot of trust. So I get a phone call if there's a problem they can't solve, right? The expectation is that you do your job and you do your job well, and I'm going to check in with you every once in a while. But it's mostly, if you take care of your responsibilities, you've got all the freedom in the world, right? Are you hitting what you need to hit to make sure our customers are happy? Are the guys on site happy? Are you taking care of them? And if you are, then if you work 5 hours today and 10 hours tomorrow, it doesn't make much difference to me. If you're doing your job, great.
Just hit the goals, get the output.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's very important to us is We're treating our general contractors like a customer, like a customer should be. We also take that same attitude with the framers that we partner with, the employees we have, and the vendors that we work with. We treat them all as customers, as valuable assets, and I think that's a really important part of our culture.
That's something that I think a lot of businesses need to learn, because I all too often see certain people getting beat up because something goes wrong,
Yeah.
or they're not happy about something. Is you need that partnership really to be successful in whatever project you're working on.
Well, and how do people act when things
Right.
go wrong,
Yeah.
right? Is it if there's a window that's leaking? You know, I think there's a lot of people watching this who've been in that meeting.
Oh yeah.
So
Much screaming is being done.
well, yeah, and you go into that, and depending on your relationship with everybody at the table there, you know it's either going to be a finger pointing situation,
Correct.
or and I've had this before, it's a collaboration on let's find the problem and let's fix the problem. Let's move forward beyond it. So that collaborative attitude gets everybody winning, gets everybody making money, right, and keeps
Yes.
developers happy as well.
That's the important thing, because those are
Absolutely.
the guys writing the checks, spending the money.
Yeah.
So, labor, we often hear it's difficult to find people, difficult to keep people. What are some of the things that you do or look for in the industry to find those framers, keep those framers,
Yeah.
that type of thing?
I got into lumber because my jobs were beholden to how quickly I could get material on site, right? So if I had wall panels coming and they didn't show up when they were supposed to, or they showed up 5 hours later, my guys were standing around and not being productive. And so I figured out that if I was the one writing the check to the component manufacturers, I got my stuff when I wanted it, right? And so as far as the labor, we really we brought in the materials so that we could serve the labor better and make sure the labor was successful and make sure those guys had what they needed to stand up walls, to sheet floors quickly. And then we also provide a higher level of management. And so there's a guy on the job site looking at details. He's got 20 years of experience wearing a tool belt, and he knows what these guys, the production guys, are going to miss on the way up. And so he's there helping, coaching, making sure that those things don't get missed, so that, you know, they're performing the work in the most efficient manner possible.
Good.
So we really try to set the guys up for success and
So
make
leaders
sure
are actually leading,
leaders are leading. Absolutely. And
swinging a hammer.
yeah, and speaking their language. You know, framers are an interesting bunch. We're very proud of what we do, right? We feel some ownership of the buildings that we build. And so being able to communicate with those guys well on their level, it really, really helps.
So how do you find new framers? Are you training people? Are you looking for people with experience?
Sure.
What typically are you doing?
We're looking for people with experience generally. It's easy to get somebody with no experience out on the job site in a multifamily situation. I always used to say, you teach a guy how to install a truss clip on a house, he's busy for 2 hours. You teach him on a multifamily, he's busy for 2 days, right? So it's easy to work in those guys with no experience, but mostly you're looking for guys who can, the guys who want to kind of jump in there and produce and push, and be a good part of the team. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So why'd you join ABC?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for networking. I think, you know, having a new business model or new to Wisconsin business model for turnkey framing, getting in front of general contractors and explaining to them what I do and what we do and how we're different. ABC's got a lot of events where there are opportunities for me to have sponsorships and just walk around a room and shake hands and meet people. Met you a few weeks ago, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So the networking opportunities are really tremendous.
Yeah. Do you use it? Are you planning on using any of the training or certifications on top of that?
Yeah, actually, I've got a guy who's going to be signed up for the Bluebeam.
Oh, excellent.
The Bluebeam review introduction. So we're working on sort of adding on to our sales through other means, and so I'm going to be getting them trained up. I just got that email 2 days ago.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for being part of this. It's always good to meet newer members and find out what makes you interested here, but it's great to have you as
Thanks for
part of
having
the
me
team.
on, Dan.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
joining
it.
ABC.
Yep.